The school day had dragged on longer than usual, the hum of the classroom a blur in the back of Clara's mind. Her focus wasn't on the lecture being given, but on the girl in the front row. Eliza, the top student of their class, sat at the desk nearest to the blackboard, her hand always raised when a question was asked. She was perfect, her grades, her composure, the way she seemed to have everything under control. Clara, in contrast, often found herself slipping through unnoticed, a quiet observer of the world around her. It wasn't that she lacked intelligence, but she always felt overshadowed by Eliza's brilliance and the natural ease with which she commanded attention. Still, Clara admired her, and the attraction had been growing ever since they'd become classmates in their junior year. Today was different, though. As Clara was packing her bag, gathering her things to leave, she caught a glimpse of Eliza at the door of the classroom. She was talking to a few of their classmates, but Clara couldn't shake the feeling that Eliza's eyes kept flicking to her, even if just for a split second. After a few awkward moments of hesitation, Clara decided to leave. She needed to get away from the school and the tight knot in her chest that always seemed to form when she was near Eliza. But as she walked down the corridor, she heard the familiar footsteps behind her. She froze. "Clara, wait up." Clara turned to see Eliza walking toward her, a curious expression on her face. "Hey," Eliza said, giving Clara a smile that made her heart flutter. "I was wondering if you wanted to talk for a minute. I was thinking of grabbing a coffee or something." Clara blinked in surprise. She didn't know how to respond at first. Eliza had never spoken to her like this before, not directly, not casually. They were classmates, yes, but they'd never had a real conversation outside of school. "Sure, coffee sounds nice," Clara said, her voice barely above a whisper. The two of them walked silently to the nearby cafe, both of them stealing glances at one another. The tension between them was palpable, but neither of them seemed to know what to do with it. Once they reached the cafe, they sat down with their drinks, the conversation flowing easily. It felt as though the weight of school and grades had melted away. Eliza was funny, warm, and far more down to earth than Clara had imagined. It was easy to forget about the fact that she was the most popular girl in their class, the top of every subject. In this moment, she was just a person, sitting across from Clara, sharing a quiet, easy moment. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the windows of the cafe, Eliza turned her gaze toward Clara. "You know," she began, her voice suddenly more serious, "I've noticed you. You don't talk much, but I can tell you're smart. You don't hide your intelligence the way most people do. It's kind of refreshing." Clara blushed, feeling the heat of Eliza's words. Thanks. I guess I don't speak up much. It's just hard to compete with people like you." Eliza smiled softly, reaching out to touch Clara's hand gently. "You don't have to compete with anyone. You're special just as you are, Clara." Clara felt her breath catch at the intimacy of the touch. The soft press of Eliza's fingers against hers felt so natural, but also electric. She could feel her heart racing in her chest, every nerve on high alert. Before she could process it, Eliza leaned in, her lips brushing Clara's cheek in a fleeting kiss. It was quick, almost shy, but it set something off inside Clara. She looked up at Eliza, unsure of what to say. "I've wanted to do that for a while," Eliza confessed, her voice barely audible. "You've always seemed so intriguing." Clara couldn't help the smile that tugged at her lips. I've thought about you a lot, too." Before Clara could say anything else, Eliza kissed her again, this time more deliberately. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, but the longer they kissed, the more the world seemed to fall away. Clara's heart raced as she responded, her hands finding their way to Eliza's shoulders, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, and Clara felt every inch of her body come alive, as if she were waking from a long dream. She couldn't believe this was happening, this moment, this connection with the girl she'd admired from afar for so long. When they finally pulled away, both breathless, Eliza looked at her with a smile that made Clara's heart skip a beat. "I think we need to talk about this," Eliza said softly, her hand still resting on Clara's. Chapter 2, The Connection Deepens. After the cafe, Clara and Eliza began spending more time together. It started with casual hangouts after school, but it quickly grew into something more. Clara would find herself looking forward to the moments they could steal away from the world, sharing little stolen moments in the hallways, the empty classrooms, or, more often than not, the quiet corners of the school library. It was on one of those days, after an afternoon of studying, that Eliza invited Clara to her house. "Clara, do you want to come over after school? We can study, or just relax." "I don't mind either way," Eliza had asked, her voice full of warmth and something else that made Clara's stomach flutter. Clara had been nervous, but something about Eliza's invitation felt too perfect to resist. She agreed. Eliza's house was warm and cozy, with books stacked high on shelves and sunlight pouring through the windows. They sat on the couch, surrounded by textbooks, but neither of them seemed interested in studying. Instead, they talked about their hopes, their dreams, and everything in between. As the afternoon stretched into evening, they found themselves sitting closer, the space between them narrowing with every passing minute. Eliza's hand found Clara's, fingers intertwining as she looked into Clara's eyes, her gaze filled with an emotion that Clara couldn't quite name. "Clara," Eliza whispered, her voice shaking slightly. "I'm really glad we're doing this. I don't want to hide this, what we have." Clara's heart skipped a beat. "I don't want to hide it either," she whispered back, leaning in, their lips meeting in another kiss. This time, it was filled with even more longing, more passion. Their bodies pressed closer, and Clara felt a warmth spreading through her, deeper than anything she'd ever felt before. They kissed again, this time more urgently, their hands roaming as they explored the newness of their connection. The kiss felt like coming home, a moment of pure intimacy and love that neither of them had expected but both had longed for. As they finally broke the kiss, both of them breathless, Eliza's forehead rested against Clara's, a soft smile on her lips. "You're everything I never knew I needed," Eliza murmured. Clara smiled, her heart overflowing. "And you're everything I've always wanted."